Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you. Just got out of the gym today. This video is going to come off like a commercial for the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Honestly, right now, one of the hottest stories that there is in professional wrestling is going on outside of wrestling. It's going to be soon being involved inside of a courtroom, and that is the Jimmy Snuka upcoming murder trial. Where he just recently was charged with the murder of his girlfriend for over 32 years ago. Something that I'd always heard, the whispers, and I've heard the stories inside of the shoot interviews, basically thinking that, something happened inside of that hotel room and the full story never got out. Honestly, I thought that, because of the case never going to trial, that there was not enough evidence. But due to today's Wrestling Observer podcast, where they had Irv Muchnick on, a guy who wrote, I don't know whether to call it an article or whether to call it a book or what it was, but he wrote something called Justice Denied, talking about the case and how it just was not handled right. He was the guest on today's Observer. He was the guest for about 58 minutes of a show that was just over an hour. They packed in a little bit of WWE and MMA news into the back half of the show once Irv was off of the show. But honestly, in my mind, this was one of the best Observers that they've ever done, and one of the shows that I'm really grateful to say that I have a subscription to. I thought that I went out and I'd read a lot of articles trying to get as much information on this story. I even went and I watched the Jimmy Snuka shoot interview through RF video that I believe was filmed back in the I believe it was right around the 2000 era, somewhere 98, 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere in that pace is when it happened. Well, no, because they talked about the Chris Benoit match at the very end, so it has to be at least after WCW died. It really wasn't that great of a shoot interview. When it comes to shoot interviews, Snuka is one of those guys who comes off as doesn't really have a whole lot of stories about the things that went down and everything. How was it working with Hulk Hogan? Oh, it was great. How was WrestleMania? Oh, it was great. Just one of those interviews where you're just watching it and you're just like, good God, somebody paid $20 to have this DVD. At least tell us something, man. Make something up if you have to. But then when the situation comes up where they ask him about the case, he just sort of stares at him with this. You can see just within just a snap of a finger, Snuka just flips. He basically shoos it off, saying that he doesn't want to talk about it. But you can see the demeanor on his face just change, and it just isn't it? I don't know how you can watch the Snuka shoot interview without buying it through our video. Maybe you can go and find it online. Maybe somebody's uploaded it onto YouTube or onto Daily Motion or something like that. If you dig for it, odds are my guess is that you'll be able to find it somewhere. But honestly, it's not even really worth your time to really check out. But I'm going to link the podcast down below. And you have to buy a subscription to it. But even if you only buy a 1 month subscription, even if you only buy a 1 month subscription just to listen to this one show, I will honestly tell you that it's well worth this one show. You'll get so much information. Maybe if you don't like reading, the other day I believe it was the Tuesday updates on the Observer, Dave listed like 5 articles to go read. Some of them were written years ago. Some of them were written that day, just talking about the court case and about how things have been mishandled. In this podcast I listened to today, they talked about how I didn't even know Don Morocco and Mr. Fuji were both in the room when the cops came to investigate the scene. Mr. Fuji is known as one of the guys that kept his job in WWF for so long because he was a guy that was able to clean up situations. It made me remember a lot of the guy on Breaking Bad that sort of was the ex-cop who went around and he cleaned everything up. He he did what he had to do to make sure that they could keep making money. And that was how I was thinking of Mr. Fuji at the time. But I didn't know that anybody else was in the hotel room. I thought that maybe wrestlers might have been staying at the hotel, but I didn't know they were all together. But basically, when the cops came, there was no drugs to be found. It just was the body of the woman. And the question's always been out there, if they would have called the cops sooner, because the indication is that the problem happened either the night before or in the early morning. Then Jimmy Snuka left. He went to go do interviews throughout the day. He came back. He got ready. He went out and he wrestled a match that night, and then came back to the situation that was at hand. And who knows what would have happened if they would have been able to get her to a hospital and maybe had a doctor look at her and be able to fix her up. Maybe she'd be alive today to tell her side of the story about what happened. But basically, Don Morocco and Mr. Fuji are the ones that went and told Vince McMahon. He had left where they had, shot the TV taping where Snuka had wrestled the match that night, and was driving back to go to his WWF offices, where he had to turn around, and he went back to personally himself handle the situation of, what was going on with Snuka. And Snuka, in his autobiography, a book that I bought just the other day, I went onto Amazon, and I bought a used copy. Well, I bought it secondhand. I bought a new copy that somebody was selling for $3 with $3 shipping. So $6 for a hardcover book. A pretty good deal, especially when it's sort of in the limelight of, why this case is going to trial, just because Jimmy Snuka has told so many different stories over so many different times. The cops want to get to the basis of trying to figure out what is the real story that happened, and maybe see if they, mishandled the situation. But in Snuka's book, he even put it into writing that Vince McMahon came and picked him up and was driving him around town, and he keeps mentioning he had this briefcase. Who knows what was in that briefcase? If your mind jumped like my mind when I heard about this, my mind is that this is a briefcase full of cash that Vince is going to hand off to somebody to make sure that one of his biggest stars at that time would be able to keep going on. Much like Andre the Giant, Jimmy Superfly Snuka was one of the greatest attractions of all time. People would go to the matches just to see Jimmy Superfly Snuka, jump off the top rope, doing the big frog splash, and the oohs and ahs of everything that would go on. When this happened, Jimmy Snuka was at the peak of everything that was going on. In this podcast, Irv Munchtek, he plugs his ebook. You can go to Amazon and you can buy this story/book, download. All of the money goes to take care of, I believe he said, battered women. He doesn't make any money off of the story that he wrote. The book/story, it's only $3 for a download, knowing that it goes to a good cause. If you want to know more about the Snuka story, download this. I think I'm going to be doing it. I don't know if I'll do it today or the next day, but this is a story that I really want to know as much as I can about. And for $3, it's worth the gamble to see what's going on with the story and everything that happened over years. Basically, he wrote this article, I believe, years after there was no justice in the story, and even now, here we are 32 years later. This is getting uncracked. Go listen to the podcast that I listed to below. If you want to know more, go over to Amazon, buy Justice Denied by Irv Munchtek. Only $3 for a download. Probably going to be well worth it. And, find out everything you can know about this case, because, like I said, it's one of the most talked about things in wrestling as of right now. A former legend actually getting, he's going to be going to trial for murder charge. Weird, huh?